Hey y'all, welcome back to the party. It is me, your girl, BrittReacts, and today we're going to react to a clip from CNN where Lathan is saying I was wrong about the MAGA cult, and that is in quotations. Let's see what he has to say.
I'm going to say something on this show that I'm not sure I've heard anyone say before. I was wrong. When Donald Trump won, I thought that 75, 80 million Americans were all captured by the MAGA cult and that they would go along with whatever President Trump said. And I was wrong. There are a lot of people who voted very purely and clearly on the fact that they were experiencing economic distress and they wanted that economic distress to come to an end. I'm hearing from these people. I'm hearing from brothers who believed not in all of the social things or the rhetoric or the religious part of who Donald Trump is, but in the actuality, in their minds, that Donald Trump was a whiz businessman that was going to fix the American economy.
Okay, so this clip popped up right after I reacted to Van's take on Democrats. And I was really fired up about his take because I felt like he had really verbalized how I feel almost like perfectly, like to the T. And I also really haven't heard from, seen much of, paid attention to Van, really, I guess, since he left TMZ. I didn't realize he's become a political commentator. So that was also refreshing to see him in this space. I have spoken to this a few times in the fact that in my world, meaning my family, my friends, my close, the people closest to me, there was a clear divide in this election. Like all of the older women in my family were like, Kamala, 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 Kamala. Like, how could you not vote for Kamala? Like, if you don't vote for Kamala, like, what's wrong with you? Like, it was very clear. And it was like they were the 92 percenters, right? It's 92%. And these were the women that were just looking at Kamala and seeing themselves, seeing their sisters, seeing their cousins, seeing their aunts, like they identified so much with her presentation and the way she spoke and the way she joked and the way she didn't take certain things, and they love that. But then you had the whole other part of this election, and you had people who could look past religion, gender, transgenderism, and all these things, and all that mattered to these people, color, economic status, religion, creed aside, all people wanted and still want is relief. Other people's religions don't affect my day-to-day life. Other people's sexual identities, preferences don't affect my everyday life. And all the other things that we're just grouping here don't affect my everyday life. What does is the economy and what's going on in the economy. It affects my ability to buy a home. It affects my ability to feed my children. It affects my ability to put gas in my car. It affects my ability to put groceries in my refrigerator. So you saw a huge spike in Black men, Latino men, the providers. These men are providers. These are the men who have to come home every day and make sure their children and their wives are eating. These men could put aside everything else that perhaps they could not stand and wanted to go with the person who was talking the talk that they wanted to hear. And it's a really simple thing when you pull your emotions back and you take them out of this entire situation. That's what people need. That's what people want. That's really what they wanted at the end of the Biden administration, is like, we need to breathe. We need relief. And so people were willing to overlook. It's amazing how people can forgive certain things or overlook other things for what they feel is the greater good or is more important. It's amazing. And I love that Van said, like, brothers, because it is. And I'm telling you this, I'm saying this to you, right? I am a Black woman. I'm married to a Black man. All of our family is Black. I have tons of other colors of friends, but I'm telling you, like, in my closest proximity, I'm often around a lot of people of color. And when I tell you, straight down the middle in our family and friend group, you had some people really down for Kamala and others really down for what Trump stood for. Do you see the difference? A lot of people were down for Kamala. They liked her as a person. They liked who she was. They felt like they identified with her. And then a lot of people really were down for what Trump was talking about. They don't have to like him. They don't have to like him. And I think that's really what it came down to. That's truly what it came down to. I don't know. Let's see what Van has to say. But I just think it's a breath of fresh air to see, and on CNN at that, right? Like everyone, or CNN is always known as like the liberal network, the Democratic network, and to see someone kind of anti all of that and pro-truth, and he be a black man is really refreshing.
That Donald Trump was a whiz businessman that was going to fix the American economy. They're confused. They don't know what's going on. They did not vote for harder times. And the reality is, as much spin as can be done on any network, it is going to be, in my opinion, irreparable harm done to the president's reputation if people experience a tremendous amount of pain, even in the short term from the tariffs.
Because of the tariffs.
A tremendous amount of harm done to his reputation, but also I just want to, I need to correct the record, because I feel like I hear a lot of conservatives talking about, oh, the last time when Trump was in office, he put in those tariffs and everything was fine. Okay, here is JP Morgan talking about what happened the last time when he put in those tariffs.
Okay, before she starts talking, I just want to, again, put into perspective, because people like to cherry pick. So I said what I said because that's what Van meant. And then he comes back and he says, but now all of these people, all the people who did buy into what Trump was talking about for the economy are going to be really hurt, upset, devastated if our economy tanks because of essentially what feels like, and some reports are saying, is an inevitable trade war. All of the tariffs going up and then the retaliation because of it is going to upset all of these said providers and people that voted for Trump strictly on the economy and put everything else aside. It's going to upset people. That is the second half of what Van said. All right, so now she's going to go in and read some facts about, before she says this, one of my biggest pet peeves is that when I'm commentating, reacting to these political things, immediately the defense is, well, in the Biden administration, in the Clinton administration, in the Barack administration, well, in Trump's first administration, like we're talking about here and now. It's a Luther reference if you didn't know. I'm talking about right now. I don't want to hear your qualms with others. To me, it's just like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. I didn't mean to make you feel that way. It's like, don't apologize to me. It's like the same kind of energy. It's like, why can't we all just focus on what this video was about and what this reaction was about? Because it feels like when you then go and point the finger at somebody else who wasn't mentioned in this video, that's your only defense. You can't speak to what's going on right now. To me, it's a little weird. It's a little red flag. But who am I? I'm just a girl. Just a girl with a desk and a camera. All right. Let's see what she has to say.
Here is JP Morgan talking about what happened the last time when he put in those tariffs. Steel tariffs created about 1,000 jobs for steelmakers who were protected by tariffs. They reduced employment by 75,000 in steel-using industries such as autos and construction as prices rose and sales fell. Similarly, in all industries affected by Trump's tariffs, duties boosted factory employment by 0.4%, but reduced payrolls by 2%. Because of overall costs rising and retaliatory
By the way,
tariffs. It costs jobs to raise prices.
By the way, there's something else to pay attention to when you're looking at the job creation from the tariffs in the first Trump administration, the price per job. When you look at some of the jobs that were created, you're paying, in one case, like $815,000 per job for the jobs that were created because of the costs that are offset by the tariffs themselves. So it's not a great way of job creation. It's very costly to the American public to do it that way.
You know what's sad about this is 90,000 factories did shut down in America since 2000. And Trump said, there's a hole in the ship. And that's one of the reasons he won. And to Van's point, people thought he's a business guy. He's going to fix this. And he's going to disappoint those towns. He's going to disappoint those people who've been betrayed for the last 40 years because this isn't going to help improve their lives.
Wow. Okay, I have two things to say. One, I can't think. Is her name? What is her name? The host of this show. Like it's like literally escaping me. Again, and I just said this about the Andrew Schultz and Charlemagne podcast. I love to see respect amongst colleagues, whether you agree or not, letting people finish what they have to say, not over speaking. Like everyone, you can tell, is also very engaged in the conversation. They're listening to understand or hear and not listen to react. Like you can feel the energy there's a very calming energy. And I think that speaks to the host of the show. It's not super combative. I don't know if all these people align on what they believe and they agree on everything 100%. I guess if they did, maybe that's why it's so calm, but I don't think that's true. I'm sure someone has some type of a differing opinion, but I love that. Also shout out to Van's cowboy hat. The other thing, I just was in New York City this weekend visiting some friends, and I have a lot of friends in the fashion industry, and I'm talking like high fashion, fashion house industries, and the way this industry is being affected already by these tariffs. And my friends who have been in the fashion industry for 1-2 decades I have to sneeze. Say God bless you. I haven't sneezed on camera in a long time. Right? God bless you in the comments. The way I had to see my friends this weekend, like really talking about like what's going to happen, what's next. They're waiting for the other shoe to drop, was gut wrenching. It was heartbreaking. And even for myself, as I react to these things, I never stop to think about every individual job, every individual person that would be affected. It just never crossed my mind. I felt blessed and ignorant at the same time, and angry for my friends who I watch work so hard and are so talented. And it's just like, is there a better way? Is there another way? Is there, and I don't know. I don't have the answer. I'm asking that out loud because I'm watching people close to me that I love dearly being affected by something, which I guess in turn speaks to the people who are going to be let down, the people who voted for our economy to surge. And now all of a sudden, like, not only is it potentially not, it's potentially plummeting. And I'm using the word potentially because I am not an expert. I'm just a girl that sits behind her camera and reacts to things that I want to learn about and be more educated on. So I don't know. It is scary. It's scary. This is scary. And I had a subscriber comment yesterday and say, like, people aren't scared of Trump. That's what the media wants you to think. I know real people. I am a real people. And I can tell you people are afraid. I don't think they're afraid of him as if he's a big bad monster under the bed, but they're afraid of the ramifications of these actions. They're afraid. And it's not what people wanted. So I don't know. I get what they're saying here is all I'm saying. No one knows the future. All of this could be, it could be one of those things where we go down, 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 just to go up, up, up. Maybe it's got to get a little dark. It's got to get a little bad before it gets a little bit better. Who am I to say? I have no idea. But what people are watching is scaring them. What people are hearing is scaring them.
And there's going to be more disillusionment in this country and more anger that their lives aren't changing. And that, to me, is the saddest part of all of this.
Lives are not changing.
Well, I think what is true today was true for Joe Biden and every other president that came before either of these two guys. If people feel like their economic trajectory is on the upswing, they will give you political leash. And if they feel like their own trajectory is on the downswing, they will punish you. You go back to Ronald Reagan, and
that's great.
Even though there were hard times in that first Reagan term, people felt like the country was getting back on the right track. They were willing to give him time because they believed in his program. They believed.
Okay, so just reading these headlines, markets in shock after Trump unleashes tariffs on 185 nations. Then it says Dow sinks 1,600 plus points, worst in 5 years, fueling recession fears. Which I already know there's going to be a chunk of you to say we were in a recession when Trump got back in office. It's like, if you say so, Joe Schmo, if you say so. Again, I'm just a girl. I'm just reading the headlines.
Track. They were willing to give him time because they believed in his program. They believed in the confidence that Reagan was projecting about America. That's what Trump has to do here. To the people that you think are going to be impacted in the short term, and they may well be, and Trump has acknowledged that, he has to make them believe that the long-term implications for this and their communities is worth it, even if they're experiencing a little short-term pain. So the political implication, Abby, I think all goes on to the trajectory. Do you feel like things will go better in the future? And that is the salesman's challenge.
It also has to be true, because at the end of the day, if people start losing their jobs, which some of them will, this is going to end badly for Trump. Rhetoric is not going to do anything about that. I just want to play what one car dealer said earlier this morning, just about what's ahead for his business, pretty much immediately.
The cost is going to get passed to the consumer. There's no doubt about that. There's nothing we can do about that. I can't eat the cost.
Right.
No matter what, all of us are going to sell less cars. And then we have to make this hard decision. So that's laying people off. That's cutting vendors out. That's reducing our inventories and not ordering as many cars. All these things, to me, are negative impacts to the economy.
Wow.
But I think he's got to get some deals in the short term, right? He's got to get some wins early, start equaling out
balance.
With our trading partners. If he gets those early wins and people start to see progress, he will continue to have that leash.
You know what's interesting? We're having a lot of conversations about President Trump and his political future and what it means for him to lose people. What we're not talking about, at least in a robust way, are the actual American people. The people who are being asked right now to sacrifice, to pay higher prices, to potentially lose their jobs for an economic future that they can't see and that there's absolutely zero clarity on. That you don't know why the tariffs are really there. You get 4 or 5 different answers as to why they're there. You don't know how they're going to benefit, but you're expected to lose your job, pay higher prices, not buy a car, do all of this stuff for what?
I think that the choices facing the administration are tough, but one of them is just to change course. They can do that at any moment. And I think it's also possible, given how Trump has behaved in the past, that he would do that in the future, maybe even the near future.
That was such a, calm, sensible conversation. They again had kind of differing opinions. This is why I keep telling y'all, get Jesus on the main line for me. I am neither left, right, up, down, red, blue. I believe in Jesus. I'm saying that because at the end of the day, at the end of this interview, panel before he cut off, Van was essentially saying they're asking the American people to have faith. That's what that is. You're asking people to have faith and belief in something that will happen eventually, but it has to get bad before it gets good. And sometimes that's what it is in politics and economics. Sometimes it got to drop down before it gets back up. Do you know what I mean? But the short version of that is you have to have faith. And they're asking a lot of people who came into this wanting to see immediate returns to have faith in something and hold on a bit longer. And that's a hard ask. It's a hard ask. Is that wrong to ask? No, because if there's a big boom in a few years, no one's going to be complaining, right? So I don't know. I think this was a very level, balanced panel. I liked the conversation. It didn't feel anti-Trump. It didn't feel pro-Biden. It felt very much so about the people and what the people want and the hope that, or at least saying it can get better. Here's what he has to do. He might pull back and change his mind. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I say all that because I think sometimes CNN and Fox News are right. They're the polar opposites and they get bad raps. But this to me was a very level-headed conversation, in my opinion. I don't know. Some of you in the comments probably hate me, but it's fine. Anyway, let me know what you think down below in the comments. As always, keep it cute or put it on mute. If you cannot be kind with your very welcomed opinion, don't leave it. Okay? Don't leave it. All right? Make sure you're subscribed. Drop a like. Send it to someone you care about. And go and have the day you deserve. Bye.